Welcome back to another episode of CHP Sports with Anthony. That's me, and Kenny to my left. Kenny, how you
What's
doing?
up, guys?
We are here for another episode in the early part of March 2022.
Yeah.
I guess we're coming up on the transition, the time change. Is that this weekend? I think it's this weekend. Actually,
This or next. I can't remember what it is. All I know is that
I think
it's
it's
going to
this
be
weekend.
later. That's what I like to see. And it's like 75 here today, so we got a little taste of spring.
Oh, we had that yesterday. It then dropped today, so
Yeah.
it was like 60 this morning, and then when I was coming home from teaching at 4:30, it dropped to like 40.
Yeah, Wednesday we're supposed to get
Miserable.
like snow and rain. It's supposed to be 40 for the high. 75
It's
today, though.
That's right. We get like two fake springs, as I'm sure you do in Jersey
For
too. You get
sure.
like two or three like week long fake springs, and then you get like two extra snows, and then you finally hit real spring.
Yeah. My dad always used to say, if you don't like weather in New Jersey, just wait 10 minutes.
Just wait 10 minutes. Yeah, I think I mentioned before. I had a track meet once in high school where, no joke, during the track meet we had snow, we had hail, and we had 65 degrees and sunny.
Yeah.
All in a single track meet that was after school. Like, it wasn't like a weekend track meet where it was all day. No, it was like literally in the 3 hours directly after school finished.
Yep. I believe it because
I was like, all right.
I'll never forget one time we went to Hershey Park, right, in like November. Well, right after Thanksgiving. That's where we go every year. So we get up there, and Saturday is absolutely like amazing. We go to the park; it's like 70 outside. Right? We're like, this is great. So we're outside all day. The next morning, we're like, maybe we'll go back. We get up; it's snowing. There's like 2 inches of snow on the ground. And it gets so bad that we're having trouble like driving back home. And the wind was blowing so bad. It was like literally like today, like 75, and then there was like 2 inches of snow on the ground in the morning. I'm like, what just happened? Like, yeah. So I hear you. It's crazy time of the year for weather in March.
Yeah, it definitely is. So I figured the first thing we could talk about today is CrossFit. I was going to say CHP. CrossFit. And 22.2, which is the second open workout which is going on this week. When this comes out, you should have like a day or two left to finish it, I guess. Because it has to be done by like Wednesday night, right? I believe. Is that when the submission date is? Time.
It might, maybe it's different. It used to be Monday night, but I think maybe they bumped it forward a couple of days.
Yeah, I have no clue. Yeah. I'm not submitting mine because I suck, but
I'm a little out of the loop with the when I owned the gym, I used to have to know every single detail. So now I'm just like, pretty sure you got to have it done one of these days.
All right, it is still Monday. So by the time you see this, it will already be due. Apparently, is what I.
Yeah, it used to be like.
But I had a chance.
Go ahead. Sorry.
Go ahead.
No, I was going to say.
Yeah, so I just had.
Sorry.
So I had a chance, thanks to former client and CHP. Yeah, I just want to see CHP for everything. And CrossFit Director of Operations, Heather, Dr. Heather, I should say. Apologies to Dr. Heather. But she was a former client of mine and good friends of ours. And she invited me to the 22.2 reveal because it was here in Columbus. So I got a chance to go. It was down at Rogue, their retail outlet. And so I went down, and it was a lot of fun. So I figured I could recap the experience, what it was like, having never been to one of those things. And it's probably the first in-person athletic event I've been to since the pandemic, honestly. So how that was. So
also, Dr. Heather, if you're watching, this is me scowling at you. I hope next year I get invited. I'm still scowling. When you told me,
I was give Kate. Yeah. I mean, hopefully they'll do it again in Columbus, and Kenny can come out here, host you, and get to go do it again. But thanks so much to her because it was a lot of fun. So I went down there obviously to support her, support CrossFit. It's not my main focus about my exercise, but I think they do great things. It's another way for people to experience fitness and to get healthier in their lives. So I'm a big fan of all that. So went down there, you had to wait in a little line because they had to check your name off the box. Then you go in, and it was if you've never been, many of our listeners may have never been to the Rogue operation here in Columbus. So their retail, if you go to their retail store now, it is basically brand new. I think it's like 2 years old now. Because they still own like a foundry kind of back by Ohio State's West Campus. It's like back by the wrestling practice room, actually, since we talk about wrestling a lot here.
Yeah.
So literally, like, you would drive to go where they used to be, or where they like used to sell stuff out of. You would like drive over to the wrestling facility. Next to the wrestling facility was like the Rogue, like warehouse.
Yeah.
Like literally just this. It's like the most random place in Columbus. Real close to where my lab was for my graduate work, actually. At any rate, now they've got this brand new building. It's gorgeous, and it's got like a retail space, like a store. But then, like, literally right next to the store, there's like a giant ass gym area, and so it was in that area.
Okay.
So go in and go back there, and basically they've got all the lights off, and it's like the main event space was pushed to the far side of that, and so they've got like 2 big rigs set up, and then like in front of the rigs they've got like barbell. I don't even know if they had the barbells out. And then there's an open area. That's where they're doing like a lot of the interviews. If you watch the show on YouTube or wherever they were broadcasting it online, and then kind of like facing that, like kind of over here, if these are the 2 rigs, right, way over here is where they were doing, like, the guys would do the commentary on the workouts. And then, there's like some behind the scenes. And then over here was like the workout. They had more racks. Because there's always racks in the gym. That were kind of like had like little spots. Like that's where I think some of the competitors were warming up. So get in there, it's all like professionally lit. Basically the only lights on are really on this main competition area and a few spotlights in the background, so they have like some backlighting for the background of shots. So it was really cool setup. A good amount of people there. So they were, I would say the actual workout area, if you viewed it as a rectangle, it was maybe like 60 feet by. No, probably like 80 feet by like maybe 40 feet wide, maybe not even 30 feet wide, and 60 feet. So, and we were 3 or 4 deep, I would say, people wise, in terms of, how much of a crowd was there. So maybe like 100, 200 people, something like that. Probably like 200 people, I guess. So it was a good crowd. Like it's always interesting, because it seems like more people when you're like way in line to go in, and then you get in there and you see how like big the actual space is, and like everyone clustered around this little area. You're like, oh, it's like doesn't seem like that many people here now. And so the pre-show, I'll be honest, I was actually programming for clients on my phone. It's not paying any attention to. So sorry about that, Dr. Heather. But then once they started, I got real into it. And so they bring out the competitors and everyone's cheering, and it's cool. And it's it's so interesting to see the competitors in person. Like, I think this is true of any sport, but especially for CrossFit, just because, this was Arnold weekend here in Columbus. And this was like one of the first years I didn't go down to it. But, I'm used to seeing those types of athletes, right? So physique athletes where, even in, a hoodie and a t-shirt or something, you can see how big a guy is.
Yeah.
Right? They're enormous because they're all enhanced. Or most of them are enhanced. And even if you go to like the more professional sports, like more common professional sports, I should say, like football, baseball, basketball, right? And the athletes have a specific look, usually because they're just tall. Like, they don't look like
they're
regular
big.
humans.
Yeah, they're huge human.
Yeah, they're just like physically imposing.
Yeah.
And so what I found really interesting, my first impressions of the athletes were, and this is absolutely not meant as any slight. It's going to come off as a slight, and it's not meant as one at all. But I'll explain what I mean in a second. The 2 male competitors, whose names I'm going to have to forget, the fittest man in the world because he won last year, the Open, and
Panchik,
the 5th place guy. Panchik, yeah.
I think it was his brother, though, not Scott Panchik. It was the other.
Yeah.
There's a couple of.
Yes. Yeah, because he was mentioned. They asked him, like, if he beat his brother this time, would he be happy or something? But in close, they're not super impressive looking. And all I mean by that is that they just look like pretty regular guys in clothes. Like, and that's mainly because both of them are like my height, right? Which I'm like just under 5'10".
Yeah.
Right. So I think they're both like between 5'9" and 5'11". They weren't very tall, and they don't have giant arms, which makes sense for CrossFit. Like, you don't need big arms for the CrossFit movements. Like, it doesn't help you at all. Now, once they took the shirts off, obviously extremely impressive. They're both extremely lean. They're both, really thick torsos, really, great development of their musculature. So, it's different when they take their shirts off. But just with shirts on, if you saw them walking on the streets, you might be like, oh, those guys look like they're in shape, like they're good at, pretty athletic looking, but you wouldn't be like they're professional athletes or near the best in their respective sports.
Yeah.
And I mentioned that only to just to make the distinction because of like, I guess I expected, I don't know, like some 6'3" monster to walk out. I don't know why I expected that, but
well, generally
that's kind of what I expect.
The top CrossFit athletes aren't much taller than 5'9", most of them. The ones that look big are like 5'10", right? When you see them on film and you're watching the CrossFit games, you're like, oh man, look how big that guy is, and he's like 5'10".
Yeah, and I do think it's also a reminder that we're used to seeing people that are out of shape in clothes, and clothes hide a lot, right? They make you look, they make jack guys look small, and guys that aren't jack look big.
Yeah,
is what they do.
I agree, and a lot of times, like, I've had the what's the word I'm looking for? I've been lucky to meet some CrossFit Games athletes and watch them work out, and again, like, yeah, they're like super fit. Once their shirts are off and they're working out, you're like, man, them guys are jacked, right? But
yeah, absolutely.
But when you're sitting there talking to them, again, most of them are 5'8", 5'9", right? They're not, again, these big, imposing, offensive tackles are like, you look at a pitcher in a Major League Baseball, he's 6'6". These giant humans, or basketball players are the freakiest humans of all of them. They're 6'10", 6'9". They play a professional sport when you see them. So I get what you're saying. Totally.
Yeah, I mean, Matt Frazier was there. And he's a little thicker.
Yeah.
But like, still, he's not. He's not extremely tall.
No.
Right. Now it's interesting because the women, it's the opposite. The women look like in clothes, jacked to high heaven. So we had Horvath and the teenager whose name I'm forgetting.
I forget her name.
Yeah. But they were both great. So the women actually competed against each other first. So, Matt Frazier comes out, does the announcement of what the workout is. It's this couplet of, ascending deadlifts, starting at 1 rep up to 10 reps and then back down. So it's a ladder. And then you're combining that with bar facing burpees. So you do, 1 deadlift, then you do 1 bar facing burpee, then you do 2 deadlifts, and then 2 bar facing burpees, right? Et cetera, up to 10, and then come back down 9, 8, 7, 6 down to 1. Right. So you end up with 100 reps of each, right? So 200 total reps, I guess, of stuff.
Justin Medeiros is the fittest man on earth, by the way.
Yes. Justin Medeiros. And
Emma Lawson was the other girl, the teenager.
Yeah. So those were the athletes. So the women went first, and I've never done a workout like this. Like, I've done like high rep deadlift sets. As I told Kenny, because I was texting Kenny the day of. We'll get into that in a second. I'm sure he enjoyed that. I think at my prime in terms of deadlifts, I was deadlifting like 315 for like sets of 15, somewhere around there. I could knock out like 15 reps, which I thought was decently good. My top end stunk, but at least 315 for 15 straight, pretty decent. I hear the workout and I actually go, wait, this is a CrossFit workout that I could do, because there's basically no technical entry point, right? The technique entry point is extremely low, right? It's, can you deadlift? Can you hop over a bar?
Yeah,
basically. So I'm like, I will appreciate the workout a little bit more because I have a better, I have more semblance of what goes into this type of work, I guess. Whereas if it's something very technical, like a handstand push-up, I can't do a handstand push-up, right? So like, I'm impressed. Like, don't get me wrong, I think it's really cool, but I just don't know how hard it is, I guess.
Yeah.
So, the 2 women go, and Horvath was a machine. She was like a piston. Just her deadlifts were just like just nonstop. And as I'm watching the ladies compete, they start to really suffer on the burpees. And I'm like, man, they're really struggling on these burpees. And obviously, when I'm seeing this, I'm like, okay, these are like 2 of the fittest women on earth that train burpees presumably all the time.
Yeah.
Like, this is something that's always in CrossFit programming. If they're struggling, what the sort of normal person is going to do horribly at this? So Horvath managed to finish, I think, with like 30 seconds left in the time cap. It was a 10-minute time cap, and Ingram did not finish. She got into the last round.
He was close,
but she did not.
And I remember texting you when I saw the workout. I was like, most normal people aren't even going to finish half of this. I remember texting you that.
Yeah, you definitely did. You're like, most people will be lucky to get half.
Yeah.
And then the two guys went, and those freakazoids, both finished in like Madero's finished in like 7:30, and Panchik finished in like 8:20 or something. Some sort of ridiculously
break that down reps wise, right? If you just think 7 minutes, right? So think 420 seconds.
Well, make it 8 minutes because that was between the two of them. So make it 8 minutes.
So 400.
It's 100 reps every 4 minutes.
Yeah, 480 seconds to do 200 reps. Right? That's what, 2.5 seconds per rep.
Yeah, it's
something like that.
I filmed a quick 5-second video of each of the males and the females each because I want to enjoy it, but I wanted to get some documentation. I threw up I think a video of the males on my Instagram. And it's crazy how fast they're moving on the. I think obviously it was the start; they're moving slower at the end, but it was super impressive.
Yeah.
With regards to how fast they move. And how consistent the work is, more than anything else. Because there is a lot of pacing involved. You can't go. Obviously, they could go a lot faster initially, but there is, pacing involved to make sure you make it to the end. Because the burpees will kill you. All right, so
and they're the hardest.
So it was a lot of fun.
To me, they're the hardest workouts to pace when it's in that 10-minute range, 8 to 10 minutes for me when I'm doing a CrossFit workout, because you're like, oh, it's not that long. Right, but then if you go out too fast, it's like running a mile or rowing a 2K.
Yeah.
Right, you still have to pace it right, or you're going to be dead at the end, just completely dead. So
yeah, no, absolutely. So it was a lot of fun. I didn't stick around. They did a podcast. I just talked to Dr. Heather briefly afterwards, and then came home. But I did decide to do the workout. This is my first ever, I guess, CrossFit workout. To be honest, certainly my only CrossFit Open workout I've ever done. And it was pathetic, is what I'll say.
I never followed up. How sore were you 2-3 days after? Not too bad, or?
My hamstrings are still sore.
Still sore, okay.
Yeah. I mean, they're still they didn't. The next day they were okay until the evening.
That's what I believe. I said that around 6 o'clock. Your hamstrings.
Yeah, you're like around.
Yeah.
And then they were really bad. So I did it Thursday. So I guess Saturday was probably the worst day. And then they were still bad yesterday, which was Sunday. We're recording on a Monday. I still feel them.
Yeah.
So it was interesting. So, I warmed up and I wasn't sure how to warm up. Because again, the deadlifts I was less worried about. I was more worried about the burpees. And the other thing, and I did it down here in my basement. And I know I've got the lights off. You can't really tell. But there's not really quite enough room. So I've got my rack over here, right? Let's angle it. And so you can't see it, but it's on some mats, right? But the problem is if I deadlift, it's right at the edge of the mats because I don't have a ton of mats. I use this as also an office and some other stuff, right? But so because you're hopping back and forth on the bar and doing burpees on both sides of the bar,
yeah,
I had to roll the bar out a little bit so I had enough room inside the rack to actually do the burpees,
yeah.
But then on this side, I have my weight rack. It's right behind my chair. You can't see it, but where I put my weight rack, and obviously you can see the dip station there. Causes me. I had to do the burpees kind of angled. So on one side I was barely fitting. The other side I'm, kind of at an angle. On one side I'm deadlifting on the carpet. On the other side, I'm standing on the mat, but the bar is on the carpet. So it's actually a very slight deficit deadlift. So my experience was, it was a fun workout. I'll be honest. I probably could have pushed a little harder. I ended up getting it into the round of 10. Alec Blennis, CHP coach, got to the last, he was within 2 rounds of finishing, I think. He was down to 6 deadlifts or something, or 3 deadlifts and 3 burpees or something, of course, because he's a freakazoid.
Well, you just think his deadlift, what's he pulling at this point? 600 pounds?
I don't know what Alec pulls. It's a lot. It's some absurd amount for how much he weighs.
Yeah, so I mean, just that alone. And look, it's not always about the one rep max with this type of workout. It's more about, like you said, how many can you pull at heavier weights? But 225 to him is nothing. right? When you're pulling probably 600 plus pounds, and then we know he has the lungs, right? They just get down and get up, right? He's got the lungs.
Yeah.
So yeah, it makes sense that he got that far because, he's got a really superior deadlift and some good lungs. That's what you need for that workout for sure.
Yeah, I mean, he's got the record for Murph, right? So he's the current Murph record.
Oh, you're talking about Alec. I thought you said Alex. You're talking about Alec.
Alec, yeah. Alec.
Oh, I'm completely messed up. Sorry, I don't know what his deadlift is. We know Alec.
I think he's got to be close to 5.
Okay, so even that though. Sorry, I thought you said Alex. My bad. But still, Alec, his insane engine, right? He's got the world record for Murph, right? And he's again on. I feel like I've never seen him in person. But I feel like he's a bit shorter.
He's not very tall.
Yeah. So burpee.
Not a shot at you, Alec. You're a great, amazing. No. Far better than either of us.
No, but with those two, you got to think of with levers with those two movements, right? His deadlifts are going to be faster, right? And he's going to be able.
He doesn't have to move as much.
Yeah. I'm 6 foot tall. My deadlift's going to take way longer than somebody that's 5'8", right? And my burpees are going to take longer just because I'm taller, right? So it definitely helps that workout to be a little shorter. And with his engine and strength, I mean, that's a great combo for him. So.
Yeah, absolutely. So he smashed it. I was happy. If I'm honest, I was happy with just trying the workout and then, getting through. I made one on set 4. I did make the tactical error. I was doing my deadlifts. I'm like, oh, let me shift it to more of like an RDL, like stiff leg. That was a mistake for that one set.
That'll light him up.
Because that did light him up real fast. I was like, oh, well, none of that. Let's actually use some quad drive. And I don't have much quad drive on my deadlifts, but it's enough to make my hamstrings last. So
the deadlifts weren't the issue, right? Because then you're going down for burpees, and what are you doing in your burpees, right? You're hinging again, right? And then you're coming up and hinging again. So it's a lot more legs than you think when you're in the workout.
What I was surprised was seeing people complain about lower back stuff. I didn't feel my lower back. I have not felt it at all. I mean, maybe it's just that I've got, the deadlift weight isn't enough for me to bother. And I'm so, I told you, I'm very hamstring glute dominant.
Yeah.
Not that my legs are that strong, but the place where they're strongest.
For someone that is strongest there, that's probably why you didn't feel anything in your back, right? It's your glutes and hammies are strong. And it's a testament to years of bodybuilding, right? You just have worked those muscles a lot,
Yeah. So I took having never done the burpees, those were really slow. I looked like I'm moving in slow motion because I did film it. No, that film will not see the light of day. No one needs to see that disaster. I showed it to my wife.
I want to see a 20-second clip. That's all I want to see. No, but
I'll post it. I'll post it on YouTube unlisted. I'll send it to you.
Yeah,
you can see how bad it is.
Because I was honestly impressed with your effort. I really was. Number one, to do it RX, right? Most people doing that for the first time. I told you. I said I would scale it, right? Just the weight. But you were like, nah, screw that. I'm not scaling the weight.
Absolutely not. Yeah. I believe which
is the typical answer I get from most guys when I tell them to scale the weight. No way, bro. I'm doing that weight. But then I thought about it. I'm like, you know what? He is a long history with deadlifting, right? You've been doing that kind of training for a long time. So I thought, in that sense, it's probably not. I just didn't know how that you would feel at that volume in that amount of time, right? And that's where it becomes. That's where you feel that hamstring soreness, right? It's not so much that you did 50 deadlifts; it's that you did them all within 10 minutes, right? It's more breakdown, it's more intense. And then you add in the flexing of the burpees, right, and getting up and down there. And it's a tough workout. And I did see it post online that there's a guy, I don't want to say names, but he was ripping the workout, CrossFit's going to kill somebody, and 100 hinges and 100 hinges of burpees, deadlifts, blah, blah, blah. And then somebody that's so involved in CrossFit, you would think you'd have a better understanding of what that workout or the purpose was, that knowing that 95% and maybe even more aren't going to even come close to finishing the workout, right? And then
I would say a lot didn't even try it. A lot of people I saw were like, nope, I'm just not even going to try it. I mean, obviously, if you're trying to do the open workout,
yeah. Do, but I'm saying if you're doing the open, and if you're doing it in class, right, you can still do the workout even if you're not doing the open. It's still just a CrossFit couplet is all it is. It's deadlifts and burpees over the bar. Very typical. Something I program 21-15-9 or 21-15-9-6-3 or 30-20-10 or, with that being the RX weight. And then maybe the next level down is like 185, 125, and then like 155, 105. So a moderate deadlift based off your 1 rep max. If your 1 rep max is 300, we're probably not pulling 225 for 50 reps or 60 reps, right? So, and that's how you teach people how to scale their workouts, right? So, hey, maybe we work up to a heavy single this week. All right, where was it? Oh, I did 275. All right, well, you're going to do 155 for the workout, right? That's how we know, right? And that's how your CrossFit classes should be working. That's how your coaches should teach you how to scale workouts. But most people are going to be limited by their wind.
Time,
their lungs. It's 10 minutes.
Yeah, no.
No matter what, and how you slice it, it's 10 minutes. And most people are going to only finish 50, 60 reps of each movement. So.
Yeah, and only idiots like me then do the rest of the deadlifts after the time because
yes.
You feel compelled to at least finish the deadlifts.
Yeah.
So for those wondering why my hamstring's still sore, I did do the rest of the deadlifts.
You did 100 deadlifts. Yes.
I did the 100 deadlifts. I did not do the burpees. The burpees, I admit, I did not do because it was a new movement for me, and enough of that, and I didn't want to be here for forever.
But that's why I'm glad.
But yeah, no.
Go ahead. Sorry.
I was gonna say, yeah, no, I agree. Like by putting a time cap on the workout, you're limiting how much work and sort of how, in some sense, how much damage someone can do to themselves.
Yeah.
And most of the people, like the burpees themselves, like if you're not to the person that was complaining about the workout, like if someone's in a position where they would literally die from the workout, they're never going to get into that position because they're going to be sucking so much wind on the deadlifts and the burpees.
Correct.
Where they'll have to slow their pace.
Yep. And the people that can finish it are prepared for that. They have the to do that. They've built the volume over this year to do that kind of workout. Just like you saw, they're the guys that are going to finish it. And look, you could have somebody do that workout at 95 pounds and still it wouldn't finish the workout because their lungs would be even worse because they'd be blowing through the deadlifts, and it just gets your heart rate up even higher, right? So, the weight actually slows you down a little bit, right? But the burpees just blow up your lungs no matter how there's no way around it.
I think the burpees are by far the limiting factor for most people here. Like I think it's rare where someone would be like,
now a guy like Alec.
Oh yeah, the burpees were fine.
A guy like Alec who does have that sort of lung capacity and engine. I mean, the burpees might not have been too bad for him, right? But it's still going to affect you in ways that you don't like, right? No matter how many burpees you've done in your lifetime, you still get out of breath when you do them. It doesn't matter.
Yes.
Those guys you watch, the fittest guys on earth, were definitely out of breath at the end of the workout, right? They just
that they were.
Yeah, they did more work though in that time frame, right? So that's why they're out of breath, right? They're doing 100 burpees when you're doing 50, right? It's just that's the difference. That's the next level. I thought it was a really well programmed workout. If you looked at my CrossFit program, I'm so simple with my programming, very similar to stuff like that. Couplets, triplets, very accessible to anybody, right? Anyone could do that workout. Whether it's down to a kettlebell deadlift and a sit, lay down, stand up burpee, or a burpee to a box. You could lay down on a box and stand back up, right? There's different ways to scale all that stuff. Like I could do that workout with me, my mom, and my son, right? All three of us could do that workout. And all get a good stimulus out of it, right? And that's the beauty of workouts like that. So I really liked the workout. I thought they did a good job. Week 1 was tough too. A little tougher with the wall walks. I would have been interested to see you try those, but
yeah, I guess because I'm probably going to try whatever the workout is, 2-3 when that comes out later this week. So the caveat there is if I can technically do it, right? Yeah. Obviously,
well, if you can,
some things like
I can show you a way to scale it. Like there's definitely ways.
Yeah. So
if it is handstand push-ups, you could do something different, right? And they'll usually it might turn into a standing strict press instead of handstand push-ups.
Yeah.
They'll usually have a scaled version of it. So.
Yeah. So we'll see. I'll probably try it at least so I can report back on how poorly I did.
I give you credit, man. Never doing a workout like that.
I mean, yeah. I'm at an age. I think part of it is this. Us talking about this is also to say, like, you're never too old to try something. Like, I'm 40 years old.
Yeah.
Like, why not? Like, what do I have to lose? I'm not trying to impress anyone.
And it shows too how you keep a pretty decent fitness base in your life just by doing what you do, right? You're not deconditioned. You're not, you stay working out, whether you're running, doing some bodybuilding, whatever it may be, you're keeping a pretty good base level of fitness that is usable for doing a CrossFit workout. If you pulled somebody off the street to do that workout, it would not be pretty. You know what I mean? Someone that's not, you know what I'm saying? Someone that's not working out or anything,
I know.
Right? So now that's a testament to you at 40 years old, keeping that fitness level, pretty high for yourself. That's good.
There you go. So that was the experience with 22.2. We'll see what 22.3 is later this week. Kenny, is there anything you wanted to talk about? That was really the only thing I had for this week.
No, I mean, that was cool and interesting that you were able to go to that, Dr. Heather. I just feel like basketball is heating up for sure. The Warriors.
Yeah, LeBron I saw had like a flashback. Yeah, he dropped 56
on the Warriors. They're like 2-8 in their last 10 games. They're struggling right now. So that's been interesting. The Sixers had their big trade. They got Harden. They've looked pretty good.
He's been playing well.
Yeah, they're looking good. But then he sat against the best team in the East. I don't understand the sitting stuff. And they got beat by the Heat. So yeah, I don't understand that. But you'd think they want to play in that game. It's the best team in the division. They're in second place. But he sat. I don't understand it.
I don't know.
But yeah, they look good. I mean, Phoenix looks great this year again. It's going to be an interesting end to the year. The Lakers, though, they got beat the day before by the Clippers, and then they got swept by the Clippers this year, I think I saw. And they're not even in the playoff race right now. I think they're 9th or 10th.
Yeah, they're kind of a mess. I'm going to look them up standings.
I think they're 9th, I want to say. But yeah, LeBron blew it up the other night, 54 or 55 points. Oh my God.
Clippers are currently in 9th. They are.
Lakers are 9th.
Man, it looks like they're. Lakers. Yeah. Yes, Lakers are 9th. It looks like they're about 3 games back.
Oh, the Clippers, right?
3. Yeah, maybe it's like 4. I think it's like 3 and then 2 half games. So I think it's like there's like 4 games total. So yeah, that's pretty wild. Maybe it'd be wild if they didn't make it.
Yeah, and then even if they do, it's like you playing the Suns the first round, right?
Yeah.
I mean, it's a rough first round matchup. Even if Anthony Davis comes back. Yeah, I don't know.
No. They haven't looked right all year. So.
Yeah, other than that, I mean, college wrestling this weekend and the Big Ten championships. You'll be happy to know that Michigan actually pulled out the wrestling Big Ten championship by 1.5 points over Penn State.
Bastards.
Couple of upsets. They wrestled really well, but I still think Penn State will win the national championship. It really actually came down to one match where the Michigan guy beat the Penn State guy in the last second, and that's kind of what flipped the whole match or the whole tournament for them. And then I went to the high school New Jersey State Wrestling Championships this weekend, which was awesome. Brought my son. Man, New Jersey has such good wrestling. It's awesome. You think about the best states like Ohio, PA, New Jersey. I think California's pretty good. There's some really good states out there. But Jersey's one of the only states that has one true champion at the end of the season for each weight class, where a lot of other states now are doing like, group 1 champ, group 2 champ, group 3 champ, depending on how big their school is or, whatever. But Jersey has one champ at the end of the year. So it's tough because there's some really good kids, like really good kids losing. And it's crazy to see what colleges are going to. And, it's awesome. Like 4 or 5 kids are going to Cornell. There's one going to Princeton, one going to Harvard, a couple going to Rutgers, so really, really cool to see them getting some big time D1 scholarships and going to Ivy League schools and, very cool to see. I had fun this weekend. We watched a lot of wrestling.
Good.
And we wrestled ourselves. Well, I didn't, but he did, my son, on Sunday. So, and then we have states this weekend. So he qualified. And
very excited.
Yeah, he'll be wrestling Sunday. So, yeah, I'm excited for him. Whatever. Like, again, this year I was like, man, I just hope he doesn't run off the mat, right? That was my goal this year. And he's done well. So it's been fun to watch. Man, he really loves it. So he sleeps with his headgear on now. He's starting to concern me a little bit. I'm like, what are you doing? He goes, I'm going to sleep with my headgear so I'm ready for the morning. I'm like, okay, this was Saturday night. He had a Sunday match, so he wanted to be ready for the match. So, yeah, that's where we're at right now with that. So, yeah, that was about it. I mean, it was a pretty low key weekend. I did watch some basketball yesterday and some wrestling, and it was cool. You got to see the CrossFit event, Heather. Yeah, so.
I'm sure she will figure out a way to maybe invite you again next year.
Shoot, I would just love to go to Rogue. I didn't even think about it when I was out there this summer. I mean, that place is amazing. Yeah.
Come on out again, man. You're always welcome.
Yeah.
We'll record live in person together in one room.
At Rogue. We'll just camp out in their parking lot and record.
That's right.
Like, who are you guys?
Here, live in the Rogue parking lot.
Like, you don't know who we are?
There you go. All right. I think that's it then. Like, subscribe, follow Kenny on Instagram, follow me on Instagram, even though I haven't posted in like a month and a half. All the links are below. Go buy a template or training with one of us to help pay for this fun stuff. There you go. All right. We'll see you all probably next week.
All right.
Peace.
See ya.